Hey guys, it's Bear. It's Friday, November 20th, and this video is both for my personal channel and also for the Life of T-Men channel. It just so happens that last week and this week coincided. Last week I talked to you about my 1 year on T anniversary and what my life has been like the last year of transitioning. And last week's topic for Life of T-Men was life update, so that just happened conveniently. And again, this week, our topic and what I want to talk to you about coincides. So, at the end of last week's video, where I talked to you about all these things that have happened and that I've accomplished and how I feel about it, I mentioned that I had a direct follow-up to that video that I was going to be doing soon. And that coincides with this week's Life of T-Men topic, which is misgendering. So, misgendering is when you refer to a trans person by pronouns or titles that they do not identify with. So, for me personally, I identify as male. I identify very strongly as male, and so I use male pronouns and titles, so he, him, sir, and so forth, as opposed to sort of non-binary pronouns and titles like they, them, and certainly not she, her. So for me, getting misgendered is when somebody refers to me as a female, and it's something that's difficult to explain to a cis person or somebody that identifies as the gender that they were assigned at birth based on their anatomy, because when it happens to a cis person, it's not nearly as hurtful as when it happens to a trans person. It doesn't tend to happen to cis people as often, obviously, unless you present a little bit more ambiguously, so it's not something that you tend to deal with a lot. And for a trans person, you know, you're trying to move away from that gender in my case, anyway. I know that there's a lot of different ways to be trans, but in my case, I'm trying to move away from being perceived in any way effeminately. So, it's a really hurtful thing to have happen to you, because, you know, here you are putting forth all this effort legally and medically, and including, in my case, having had surgery that took me a long time to recover from and was really expensive, in order to present the way that I feel. And when somebody goes ahead and uses a female pronoun or a female title, it just sort of makes me think that to that person, I will never be anything else, and they will never see a change. And it gets to be really, really hurtful because it makes me feel like I'm a joke, and like, in your eyes, all that work and effort is just me sort of dressing up and impersonating a man, as opposed to you actually perceiving me as a man. And it's just insanely hurtful. And furthermore, you know, most of the people in my life have moved forward. They've put in a tremendous amount of effort, and they have stopped misgendering me. And thank you, by the way, if you're one of those people. Furthermore, in public with strangers, I pass as male pretty much 100% of the time. I have not been misgendered in public for well over 6 months, and especially since now I'm letting my facial hair kind of grow in. It's No Shave November. I gave myself a couple weeks head start on that. That's definitely helping in public. So now, as opposed to when I was really early on in my transition, where it was like everybody was correcting themselves and so I heard the wrong pronouns all the time. That was upsetting because you're like, you're trying to get people to start taking it seriously, and to start getting it right. Now I hear it so infrequently that when it does happen, it's a real shock. And I have a tendency to react to it really emotionally because, again, you're basically sort of making me feel like I'm a joke to you, or I'm not ever going to be a real man because you're used to me being a woman. And especially when people want to apologize, but it's kind of like a backhanded apology because they'll say like, oh, I'm really sorry, it's just I'm not used to it yet, or I wasn't focusing on it, I wasn't really thinking about getting it right. It again makes me think that you still see me as a female, and it just makes me wonder if and when there's ever going to be a point in my life where those people are ever going to see me as an actual man as opposed to a woman sort of playing at being a man. And it causes me pretty serious emotional distress, depending on the situation. Again, a lot of times people will tell you like, oh, I need time to get used to it. Well, it's been 13 months. I feel like it should have kind of come and gone that time at this point. Or when people say, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention, I wasn't focusing on it. Well, again, I feel like that time of having to focus on it and correct yourself should have come and gone. And I mean, the testosterone and the surgeries have really run their course in my body, and I present, in my opinion, I present as male. I mean, so I just sort of want to say, like, look at me, look at my face, and tell me that you have to think about calling me a man, So, again, this video is sort of just a personal plea. Please stop misgendering me. Please realize how horrible it makes me feel, and put forth the effort towards getting it right. Again, this is talking to a very small percentage of the people that I know, but I need you to realize there are people that do it more than once. It's the same people that are still doing it, that are repeat offenders, and I need you to realize how much of an impact it makes on the rest of my day and for several days after, where I come back to the moment and I wonder if you're ever going to see anything but a woman pretending to be a man. Like, I feel like I'm in costume to you, and you make me wish that I could just, start over somewhere else where nobody knows me, and nobody ever knew me as a woman. It really does put me in a bad place, and I am asking you, please, to do whatever you have to do to stop doing that. Again, I'm really sorry to come at you from a place of emotion and fatigue. Thank you for listening. Thank you for following, and I'll see you next week.